Hi, everybody, and welcome to Tuesday Tips. My name is Michael Barber, and as usual, I'm joined by my fearless colleague here, Ashley MacQuarrie. Ashley, how are you doing? Welcome to 2024 and Tuesday Tips.
I'm doing well. Yeah, excited to be here. Another year of these.
Another season of Tuesday Tips. I think this is episode 29 or 30. We'll have to get an official count, but we're excited to be back. As usual, we're here every Tuesday or every other Tuesday, depending upon the schedule of what's happening around the world, talking all things challenges that school leaders are facing. This week, we are tackling enrollment marketing topics. It is the beginning of a new year. And with any new year, you start thinking about next school year. And so we're going to be talking about questions and challenges that school leaders may be facing when it comes to enrollment marketing for this year and beyond. Again, we're here every Thursday for about 10 minutes right here on YouTube Live. If you're joining us live, please feel free to drop some questions into the chat and we'll answer them as they come in. But we've got some prepped to talk through as school leaders start thinking about enrollment marketing needs as they're getting into this time of the year and thinking about next school year. So let's start here, Ashley. As we think about what's coming up, this is a new year. Are there any specific challenges or opportunities that school leaders should be mindful of right now when it comes to their enrollment marketing efforts?
Yeah, there's definitely an opportunity. The data shows, we consistently see in Google search trends show that January there's a big spike in interest in school-related terms and enrollment terms, and so being mindful of that interest kind of stays consistent through March, April, and then there's a big spike in the summer, but this is really a peak time when parents are starting to plan following that kind of holiday lull. So it's an opportunity to make sure that you're showing up where they're looking. It's also a lot of schools are having their open enrollment. It's usually between December and March or so, with lotteries somewhere around, February, March. So that's an opportunity as well to get that interest early. Ideally, get more interest in your lottery than you even need so that you're not having to, do as much enrollment work as the spring and summer, goes on.
Yeah, those are really good points about, getting as prepared as possible in the beginning of the year so you're not scrambling as you head into, that June, July, August time and thinking about the upcoming school year. When you're thinking about the start of enrollment season, and obviously that's kind of a misnomer because you should be thinking about enrollment all the time. But as you start to think about the classical start of the season, we've seen more and more schools, and I think the data that we saw last year from all of our enrollment data with clients and school leaders that we worked with talked about just the importance of social media and its impact on not only families finding schools, but also potential students getting to know different schools. But talk about what role that social media platforms, whether it's TikTok, whether it is X, formerly Twitter, whether it is Facebook, Instagram, and the like, and creating targeted online campaigns to reach and engage potential students and families.
Yeah. You said social media platforms are great for awareness, that brand awareness and that community building online. There are parent groups and things like that often schools can be a part of as well, neighborhood groups, things like that. But, like you said, there's also a lot that you can do with targeting. I think you often even have more specific, more advanced targeting with Facebook than you do sometimes with Google. We love Google ads for driving leads, and we love Facebook ads for building that brand awareness. So, I think all schools need to be on social media, but if a challenge in particular is not necessarily driving leads, maybe you get enough leads, but those leads end up not, converting or staying engaged with you, then definitely social media is a place to look to continue that engagement, keep those leads kind of warm and keep that interest up, and, highlight your community, build that kind of online community around the things that you're doing, the people that make your school special.
Yeah, and as you're thinking about this time of year, we're mid-January at this moment. People are just coming back from the holidays. People are just starting to settle into, a regular routine back at school. Can you share some ideas of what the team and you're seeing schools out there when it comes to social media posting during this time? What's the right thing to be posting? Is there a time of day, day of the week sort of best practice? Would love some ideas on what you're seeing schools do right now.
Yeah. Well, I was scrolling my Instagram feed this morning, and I can tell you that mostly what I saw was a lot of snow. School closures, snow, crazy weather. That is what everybody is talking about. I mean, and it's important to, social media is a great way to get that word out that your school's being impacted by snow. That's important. I think, with most of the country experiencing kind of chaotic weather, it's also an opportunity to kind of remind people that when school is open, it's a wonderful, safe, stable place to be with lots going on. And so you can definitely, highlight those, the events, the people, the things that are, indoor sports and athletics. There's a lot of good energy, I feel like, in January coming out of that winter break lull, but before kind of the crazy testing season and end of the school year and graduation. So talking about, your winter performances and, the activities that you're doing in your STEM lab. And then, back to enrollment, tours and info sessions. Those are picking up again, and especially during lottery season. It's important to be talking about those things as well.
Yeah, just such an interesting time of year as people are starting to get back into the groove of things. And certainly, as you think about what works right now, making sure that you're highlighting the right things at the right time and using social, as you mentioned, just as a outlet of news for when schools open, reminding people of what's happening in those schools environments on a day like today. For so many of us, I think there is severe weather warnings all around the country in, I think, 48 of the 50 states this week. So a tough time for school leaders as they face some challenges of getting kids back into the building. But certainly social can play a really good component there for not only highlighting, hey, school schedules, but also, what's happening in their schools when they are in session. We have a question here from the audience around data. And as we think about data for schools and how to make decisions using data for your enrollment marketing efforts, are there key metrics that you work with school leaders to understand, what's working and what's not when it comes to measuring the success of their enrollment marketing campaigns?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we look at social media engagement, of course, and is the audience growing? Are we reaching more people year over year? But then are those folks taking action? If the ultimate goal is for people to engage with you on social media and then go to your website, we want to look at where traffic to your website is coming from. If we're really focused on brand awareness and appearing higher in search results, then we want to look at, is the percentage of our traffic coming from, organic search increasing over time. And then kind of, we pull a lot of reports at the end of the season, and we're kind of going through those now of what were our top performing posts for the last enrollment season? What kind of content did folks engage with? What were the top pages on our websites that people visited? What blogs did they spend time reading? We want to look at the session duration and see kind of how much time are people spending on the website. Do they look at multiple pages, or do they leave after just visiting the homepage? And then we, can determine, okay, people really engaged with the principal highlight blog, or they really engaged with, our top 10 tips kind of blog. And then maybe we'll do more of that. So it's super important to be data driven, because it lets you understand kind of what marketing strategies are working, what's not working, and then do more of what's working.
Yeah, so specifically as we drill down into something you mentioned, which is, looking at website analytics or metrics around how your website is performing, what are some of those metrics that really evaluate the success of a school's enrollment marketing campaigns? Is it impressions? Is it clicks? Is it click-through rate? Is it purely conversions for, request for information forms or request for tour forms? What are the analytics that school leaders should be paying attention to, knowing they've only got a finite amount of time to care about these things?
Especially if you're doing like any sort of paid media, like on Google, then conversions are super important. Are they taking the action that we want them to take, whether that's, placing a call or filling out a form on the website. So I mean, that's key. If you're spending money on campaigns, then you want to know kind of what your goal is, and usually that's leads on Google. On Facebook, if your goal is engagement and community building, then you might look at, are you getting more followers? Are you reaching more new people? Are they engaging with your content? And then, on your website, we look at sessions. We want to see new users as well. Users are great, but a lot of the users that come to a school's website are students or teachers, trying to get to the student dashboard or the staff portal or something like that. So we want to see new users as well. As a big portion of the audience. We also want to see a bounce rate that's usually below 50%, which means that people are spending time on the site, they're engaging with it, they're finding what they need. And again, like we kind of look at session duration. We want to see time on our key pages being higher, so we can tell that they're reading the blogs or they're spending time on your landing page and filling out that form. So conversion, sessions, new users.
Yeah, really good points there to think about how to put a dashboard together. And for most of our school leaders, they're utilizing like Google Analytics, and they've got a new version of Google Analytics called GA4, which I know has been somewhat confusing for school leaders, but they can still create dashboards that show some of those key metrics, so that they can visually see what's working and what's not working without needing a master's in Google Analytics per se, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you don't have Google Analytics, it's free. If it's not set up on your site, it's getting easier and easier to set up with some of these different website platforms. You don't have to do coding a lot of the time, but I think if that's one thing that you'll thank yourself next January for doing, is implement Google Analytics now, and then you'll have a good year of data so that you can start to look year over year at how you're doing and what's changing. Because it does change, and it's really valuable data.
Yeah, some great advice there. We've hit almost passed over the 10-minute mark. We're at the 12-minute mark, so we're going to wrap it up for our, I think, episode 29 or 30 of Tuesday Tips, and just say a quick thank you to Ashley for joining us. We'll be back next week right here on YouTube Live. And as always, we're here at about 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, depending upon the Tuesday, but you can subscribe to our YouTube channel and always get alerted to when we're going live, or feel free to catch the replay of these by just hitting that subscribe button and hopping on YouTube maybe during your morning commute, or listen to us in the car. If you've got Apple CarPlay or Android CarPlay on the way and you're a school leader and want some tips and tricks, we will happily have you listening to our Tuesday Tips sessions on your way to school. But with that, we'll see you next week, and just extend again, last thank you to Ashley for joining us. And we'll see y'all next week. Take care.
Thanks, Michael.